ordinarily, I am not the biggest fan of films like Beowulf. This kind of legend narrative doesn't really do much for me, but this one, which was released in 2007 and directed by Robert Zemeckis, with also a screenplay by Neil Gaiman and a cast that is incredible, I thought I'm going to have to give this a go, because it ticks every single box apart from the narrative. And I'll be honest, it was pretty interesting. The narrative was, reasonable enough. I was slightly emotionally invested in it, but I really just enjoyed it. First of all, for the cast, and second of all, for the visual quality. It is fantastic. It's slightly colossal. It does a great job of, making everything look bigger than it actually would have been on set. It's pretty good. And obviously this is coming from somebody who doesn't watch this kind of film that often. So if you are a big fan of myths and legends and films that tackle these kind of things, and kind of historical legends, you may have a stronger opinion that it's not very good, and I completely respect that. But for somebody who didn't have any real expectations, pretty pleased. So, in case you're unaware of Beowulf, I will read the description from IMDb. There will be no spoilers. I would say it's relatively predictable, but there are some moments in it that were more intense than I expected. So the description is as follows. Set against the coming of Christianity, this is the story of the last hero. In 507, a monstrous troll wreaks havoc in the mead hall of Danish King Hrothgar, played by Anthony Hopkins. He offers reward for the death of Grendel. So Beowulf, a great and boastful great warrior, arrives with his thanes. Beowulf sets aside his armour and awaits the monster. Thereafter we have, monumental battles and heroism and terrifying beings, and it's visually it's fantastic. I almost wish I'd seen it in the cinema, because I think on the big screen it would have looked great. The costumes are fantastic. The dialogue is pretty great. There are times when the language it's not. I was going to say the language because it's set in 507. The language is not that old. It is pretty contemporary, but there are obviously certain words, certain things that if you're not familiar with this kind of time period, as I am not that much, it may take you a second to click what they're saying, but that's good. Realistic. I like it. Costumes great, makeup brilliant, special effects really good. Angelina Jolie in this is just her scene. She's not in it much, but when she's in it, boy is she in it. She is brilliant. And I think, if I remember rightly, I watched this because it came on my radar either because she was in it or Sir Anthony Hopkins. I can't remember which one, but it would have been one of those two that kind of brought this film to my attention. The cast, as I said, is fantastic across the board, and it's definitely worth checking out IMDb. There are a lot of people who are credited as additional adult performer. I've never seen anybody being credited as that before. Quite peculiar. Visually, as I said, it's absolutely astounding. The narrative, I enjoyed enough to see me through the film, but again, it's not my kind of film, so I don't rate it as highly as some people. But for the genre, for what I would look for in that genre, I think it's done pretty well. If you like powerful films that are pretty action-packed from the word go, with a lot of shouting and a lot of fighting, then this could be a film for you, because it completely delivers in what it promises to deliver. Ray Winstone also gives a great performance in this. Really enjoyable. Definitely worth the watch if you're into this kind of film. If you're not into this kind of film, like me, but you enjoy quality art, and you're in the mood for something that's just visually really compelling, where you don't really need to think too much, I think this is a good one to go for. Maybe not one I'd say put to the top of your watch list, but definitely one that I think you should check out at some point.